So I'm going to talk with you this morning about letting your people be people first. So you're going to hear a lot of great things today. You've already heard some fantastic stuff. But I want to talk about the people side of it. Because one of the challenges I see is that I think we're only looking at it through half of the lens. And we look at it from a people perspective, if only. We actually look at it from an employer perspective. And yet if we look at people, they have a human need to be significant. They want to be seen, they want to be heard, and they want to feel important. And they want to be put ahead of profit and waiting times and net promoter scores and any other KPI that we measure them within into their life of. But the reality is, through most of the dialogue that happens between an organization and the employee, they just don't believe that to be true. So they get a bit cynical. So when an employer says to an employee, "We really value you," what they hear is, "You want me to make you more money. You want me to improve waiting times or productivity or whatever else it is." It's all one-sided. And yet we know if you want to engage people, you've got to get them engaged in themselves first. So as organizations, what we do is we do stuff to people. And what happens when we do stuff to people, it's our stuff. So we talk about our mission, our purpose, our values. But it might surprise some of you to understand this, that when we wake up on a Monday morning in October, our values are not their values. As people, we have different values. So your mission is not the employee's mission. Your values are not their values. And if you want to get people engaged, you've got to get them engaged in their stuff first. And then they can't help but bring it to the workplace. And what we know is if you get people engaged in their stuff, their mission, if you like, what they do on a Monday morning is they wake up and think about what they've got to do and what they want to do. That's their version of their mission. They don't call it that, of course. You've got to get them thinking about their stuff. And what we know is if you get people thinking about their stuff and they feel positive about it, because that's normally what happens when you think forward and you think to the future, you are 50% more likely to say you're very happy with your today. You're 50% more likely. And for most part, today equals work. And what we also know is that people who feel positive have 31% more brain productivity than those at neutral. Not even disengaged, just neutral. 31% more brain productivity. That's a third more. So if we get people engaged in their stuff, it makes them feel good. But to do that, we've got to do it authentically. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to, rather than treat you like an audience, I would like you for 7 or 8 minutes at least to treat you as people and let you put people first for yourselves. So if you can, I'd like you to grab either the grey book that's on the table or there's a white booklet. Grab one of those each. And I want you to start thinking about what's important to you as people. We're going to do something called Dreamstorming. It normally takes 45 minutes to an hour. And we're going to do it in about 7 minutes. So it's going to be a very light touch. And we're only going to do a bit of it. And what we're going to do, it's like brainstorming, but it's about the stuff that you want to be, do, have, and experience. Because that's how we map out our future. And what I want you to do is I want you to dream without limits. I want you to have fun with it, to think about the stuff that you want. Don't sanitize it, don't qualify it. And the first thing I'd like you to do is I'd like you to open to the first clean page you've got in there, first empty page. And at the very top, I'd like you to write the word adventure. And what I want you to do is just start thinking about the things that you would like to do and just start writing them down. For a lot of people, it's travel. A lot of people, it's holidays. What would you like to do? For many people, it involves adrenaline or doing things that are scary or just fun. But where would you like to go? And just start writing stuff down, whatever comes to your mind. Don't sanitize it, don't qualify it. Just if you think it, write it down. Or if you think it, ink it. Where would you like to go? Maybe there's the Great Wall of China in you. Maybe you want to go scuba diving somewhere. Maybe you want to learn the dance from Saturday Strictly. Or is that just me? Maybe there's something adrenaline-fueled that you want to do. Maybe you want to do parachuting or do a Tough Mudder or something that really is adventurous in your minds. Whatever you think it might be for you, just write it down. And I'll just give you a little minute to think about that. From experience, I know that half the audience will be saying, I wish he'd shut up while I think. And the other half will be going, I'm really glad he's mentioning things, so I apologize to whichever half I'm upsetting. But what would you like to do? And just write them down. And if you've already done this, and some of you have, then add to it. One word, a sentence, doesn't really matter. Just if you think it, ink it. Who wants to go on a safari? Who wants to really get outside their comfort zone and find 300 very attractive and highly intelligent people on a Monday morning to present to? And what we're doing now is just a taster. It's just the start. So for those of you who have finished, if you haven't finished, just jot the other words or sentences down. You can come back to this stuff. It is for you as people. I'd like you to turn to the next clean page. At the very top, I'd like you to write the word creative. And I'm sorry if this feels I'm moving you through it a bit, but it's just to give you a sense of what it's about. But what would you do that's creative? Maybe it's about something to do with music or the arts. Maybe it does involve Strictly again. What about in the digital world? Maybe there's a blog in you or a book. Or maybe it's just about Pinterest and Instagram. Maybe there's some singing things you want to get involved in. Maybe with Christmas coming up, you'd like to do something creative with your family or your children to make gifts or something. What would you like to do? Maybe you just want to design that lavender bed under the kitchen window, if you've got a kitchen and if you've got a window. It's your list for you. So what would you do? Apparently colouring books are the craze at the moment. Not for me, but maybe you want a colouring book. Okay, so what I'd like you to do now, again, if you haven't finished the list, just come back to it. It is for you. I'd like you to turn to the next clean page, and I'd like you to write the word physical. What would you like to do that's physical? Maybe there's that 10K. Maybe there's that 5K. Maybe it's just about walking up the escalator. Or there's that Tough Mudder, or using that gym membership we've had since Christmas. There's some nodding in the front row I saw. What would you like to do? It's all for you. Maybe there is an ultra-marathon runner in here. I suspect there is, statistically, looking at the demographic. Maybe it's about diet, not just exercise, which is where most people go to. Anybody here want to drink more, sleep less, eat more sugar? Maybe you want to lose a bit of weight. I could do with a bit. What would you like to do that's physical? Or maybe it's about rest. How many of us feel guilty when we rest? That's not the society we operate in. Conscious rest and recovery is something the Olympians talk about all the time. So if it's good enough for them, I think it's good enough for us on a Sunday afternoon. What would you like to do? Okay, so what I'd like you to do now is I would like you to look through your 3 lists, and I would just like you to choose something on that list for you. Small thing, big thing, doesn't really matter. Just choose something that resonates for you. And what I'd like you to do is, it'll be really scary, I'd like you to share it with the rest of the people on your table. I'll give you an example. I'll go first. I have a dream to take my family on a safari. I went about 25 years ago and I had the most amazing experience, and I'd really love to share that with my teenage children while they're still talking to me. But what I'd like you to do is start with the person on the, this is no discussion about who goes first, start with the person on the very left-hand side of the table and just go around the group and tell each other the dream that you've chosen. And for those of you on the rest of the table, just listen to what they've got to say. And I'll give you a couple of minutes to do that, and please just start sharing on the left-hand side. No, he is. So let me ask you a couple of rhetorical questions. When you think about those things on your list, those 3 lists that you've made, and you imagine spending a bit of time on them, how does it feel? It starts to feel just a little bit good, doesn't it? Just a little bit. It's funny, isn't it? We have lots of dreams when we're this big, and we kind of get stuck in doing, and we forget about what we want to be, do, have, and experience. And when we do start to get reminded of that, we start to feel energy. Did anybody notice the volume in the room? It's funny, huh? That's because it's important to us. And what we know, we do this as a start of our programs and engagement programs for people, and we do it across 12 areas. And people tell us, on average, they feel 34% more engaged in their stuff, their agenda, their mission, if you like, just from a 45 or 60-minute activity. 34% more engaged in their stuff. And that's how you get positivity. And if you can get that kind of energy from what are essentially complete strangers sharing stuff, imagine that in the workplace. So just imagine on a Monday morning that Kathy comes in. I say to her, "Hi, Kathy, how was your walk at the weekend?" Kathy goes, "Ooh, he remembered. Ooh, I feel a little bit more significant." She doesn't say that, of course. What she says is, "It was cold and my calves are killing me." But what's happened is I've asked her, because I know she's training for a charity walk. And what happens is you get people started to engage with each other. So rather than half the lens being the thing that the employers do to the employees, you've got people starting to engage each other. So if you took that little activity back to your workplace and back to your teams tomorrow, and the next time you've got a team meeting, and you just ask them to come to the meeting with 3 or 4 places they'd like to go to, don't call them dreams, because that sounds a bit flaky. Just 3 or 4 places they would like to go to, and then go round the table like we just have. You will create a level of energy significant, that is just going to drive its way through that meeting. It's going to drive its way back into the workplace after the meeting. And as people connect with each other and relationships build and rapport increases and so on. And that's how you start to get what I would call leveraged engagement. Because instead of employers doing engagement to the organization and doing it to people, you've got people engaging people in their stuff that's important to them. And that's how you uncover the other half of the lens. Because what happens is people can't help but bring that positivity into the workplace and that level of connectedness, that level of team, and so on. But whatever you do off the back of today, please do something different. This is a room full of advocates. This is a room full that knows about employer voice and first-line manager and better internal communications. But please do something different and do it from the employee's perspective. And they are unique, like your lists are unique. If we did this as an activity, there would be something like 21,000 dreams that you would have listed. So please do something different and align it to the employee, because hope is not a strategy. Thank you.